Welcome to Moonlight Howl Podcast. This show is made possible with the help of our community and Patreon supporters.
To show your support, head on over to patreon.com/Moonlight Howl and pledge $5 a month and receive exclusive content and merchandise.
As always, we thank you for the support and hope you guys enjoy the show.
Hey everyone, I'm Carmen, and welcome to another episode of the Moonlight Howl Podcast. In this episode, I am interviewing Angel Lem with the Lemeknow podcast and the Feelings Pod. We will be discussing our favorite TV shows, films, paranormal experiences, his current projects, and how his podcast had a positive impact on us with our podcast and the community of Wilmington. Before we start with the interview, I would like to take this chance to introduce our new segment called Weekly Updates. This is where we will be announcing local events and updates happening in Southern California. If you would like for us to announce your event on the show, please feel free to email us at info@moonlighthowlpodcast.com and we will include it in our weekly announcements. We also have a community calendar live on our website. You can go ahead and check that out and see all the amazing updates and events happening near you. Now for this week's episode, we do have a sad update. My best friend Brooke, she just lost her father to liver cancer. He was diagnosed at the beginning of March and suddenly passed away March 12th. He leaves behind a wife, a daughter, and a young grandson. Now the family has set up a GoFundMe account at this time, which we will add to the description of this episode. If you can help us by donating what you can or share the link, that will help the family with funeral costs and paying off medical bills at this time. Thank you so much for hearing the weekly announcements. Now on with the interview. Hey Angel.
What's up everybody? What's up, man? How are you?
Good. Thank you for joining me on today's show. I wanted to bring you on the first episode because we had this scheduled a long time ago, and I just wanted to go ahead and interview you and talk about your podcast.
All right. Yeah. I think I had you on my podcast, 2020?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's good to be on here.
Yeah, and I'm happy to see that you're doing really well with your podcast.
Thank you.
So if you guys don't know Angel, he's very well known in the community of Wilmington, and he helps out his people. And I'm just so proud to see how he's grown and where he's taken off. And I just really wanted to introduce him to you guys.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I mean, I've known you since, you're like what, 9, 8?
I want to say 9 or 10. Yeah, it's crazy. It's been a long time. So I just wanted to go ahead and talk about what is your favorite TV show so far, whether it's horror related or not, because I know you're not really into the spookiness, but I wanted to see, what are you currently binging?
Right now, we just found a show called The Neighbors. It's on ABC. It's a comedy. It's about a group of aliens come out on Earth, and this family moves right next to the leader. That it's kind of like a cult. It's the leader. The leader tells them what to do, how to dress. They always dress the same. Wherever feelings he feels, the community feels as well. And it's basically a family of humans move in. They kind of show them how to be human and stuff like that. It's really funny. I think it was in 2014 when it started, and it's only 2 seasons. But right now it's pretty good. That's what we're watching. Previously we were watching. Before that, I was binging Naruto until it started getting to the subtitles. Then I'm I'm out.
Yeah, I mean, I love Naruto with subtitles. I mean, that's how I do it. Some people don't like it. Some people actually just listen to it in original audio. I don't know how they do it, but for me, I live for reading the subtitles. It's a really great story. I'm gonna have to check out Neighbors. I've never heard of that. What would you rate it?
Out of 4, I'll give it a 3.5. It's pretty good. Okay. The only thing is you don't see a lot of people of color. It's one of the main characters, she's black, and actually 2. It's an Asian boy and and a black lady. That's about it. That's all the color you see. It's mostly white people. If they had a little bit more color, then that'd be bumping up to like to a 4. But like the good comedy, the good stories. So yeah, I mean, I recommend it to people.
Awesome. And you haven't seen any horror movies yet, have you?
I saw Scream, and I was talking shit like to the screen the whole time.
You were yelling at it like a novela, weren't you?
Yeah, it was so stupid. It was so dumb. Whatever. Like, yeah, I only went because my friend, she's into that, and I told her we would go, and I lied, but we saw Scream.
Yeah, I think the most recent TV show that I've seen is The Sopranos. I'm rewatching it with my husband. Not horror related again, but I mean, it's interesting. It's really interesting. It's got me into a binge. We just finished season 3 and we're like, how the hell did this happen? We literally just started watching it maybe 2 weeks ago, but I enjoyed the whole mobster feel. But
yeah, like I don't, to tell you, I don't really have any interest on The Sopranos. Like maybe I would watch it just so I could watch the HBO. There was they made like another story to it, like the prequel. So like that'd be the only reason why I would get into it, just to see, so I could follow the story.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to catch up to follow the story, figure out from there before I start jumping into it. I like doing everything in like chronological order. I think that's it. Nothing too horror right now.
Have you seen the Dave Grohl one, the 666 one?
I haven't seen it yet. I've been waiting for it to come online versus going to theaters and watching it. Have you had any like paranormal or scary stories that you want to share? Any like weird encounters?
Not really. I mean, I don't really believe in that stuff, but where I live, like we hear like the floor creaking a lot. Like we hear like footsteps sometimes.
Yeah.
And my girl, she's the one that senses it. Like I'm a deep sleeper, but sometimes she sees like a shadow. The only story that I could tell is at my job, there's always like, whenever I would work in the cooler, I would always see this black tall shadow, like somebody on a trench coat, but it was completely black. Like, and it'd be like on the corner all the time, and I would always see somebody there, like watching me. And I remember once, I don't know, I think I smoked some good stuff, that I saw a bottle of Tampico catch on fire. I don't know, I was hallucinated or something, but yeah, that like as far as paranormal activities, that's the only thing. Like here in my apartment, like we hear the floor creak sometimes, and one time there was like powder on the floor. Other than that, not really.
Damn, rewind back to what you were smoking that day with the bottle of Tampico just bursting into flames. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was on my birthday, and I had been drinking that day, and I went half drunk to work. I was buzzed, and I don't know what I smoked, but it must have been some good stuff, because I swear to God, I saw Tampico catch on fire. I ran away, I came back, and the bottle was perfectly. Yeah, I don't know what I was hallucinating, but it must have been good.
That must have been some really good stuff, and a great way to go to work, right?
I mean, I regretted it because I felt so groggy and like dizzy. Like I just wanted to throw up the whole time. I was uncomfortable. So yeah, but I mean, I don't do that. I only did that like maybe a couple of times. I didn't like it, so I never did it again. Oh, at one time, this is another time. I ate an edible right before going to bed, and I had to work.
Those are the best, the ones right before bed.
And I had to go to work, and I woke up and I saw my clock like bending like in front of me. It was literally like I was trying to catch it, like I was reaching for it. And I went to work, and there my car was parked, and I worked really close to where I live, and I was like, man, I should probably take my car. But I was drunk and I was high, obviously. I was like, I don't know if I should. And there was a black cat on my car, in my hood, and it was telling me, come on, Angel, like just drive, like you're okay, like nothing's gonna happen to you. And I was like, no, like I'm drunk, like I'm high, like I can't, like come on, look, you work 2 blocks away, like what's gonna happen? like nothing's gonna happen to you. Like I'll keep you safe. Let's put me inside the car with you, and I'll keep you safe. And I was like, nah. I was sober enough to realize that it was a bad idea, but you know, on the influence enough to like be having a conversation with the cat. So yeah, I'm telling you, I don't know what it was, but it must have been good.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's something crazy too. Do I have crazy? Well, once, but this was because I was medically induced. So last year I was diagnosed with leukemia.
Yeah, I heard. How are you doing?
Better. I am in remission, and I'm taking medication. I'm just waiting for my hair to grow back. So this is a wig.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I follow your IG and stuff, and I know your family, so I know that you had cancer, and like you had your head shaved for a bit. Like I know where your hair is.
I was looking like a thug.
Mm-hmm.
So it was shortly after that I was medically induced, and they were watching me to see how I was reacting to the chemo. And so I passed out. I don't remember. And they said I was under heavy sedation. I was sleeping, but I was like, I don't remember sleeping. All I remember was lifting from my bed. And I got out of the room and I was floating the rest of the hallway, which was the cancer ward at UCI. And I've never been outside of that room. I don't remember the rest of the hallway. And I can see right outside the double doors, the lobby, and then going past that, there was a garden, and I was sitting in front of that garden. I was literally just chilling and just watching like the birds fly, the flowers. But that was the trippiest thing ever. I told the nurse that, and they're like, we never taking you out of that room. And I was like, are you sure? Because it was a really nice sight. So once I got clearance and I had my immune system up and like my COVID test came back negative, they took me outside, and I was like, I remember this fucking vividly, like to the exact detail, like where all the nurses sat, where the doctor's offices were, and right outside that cancer ward, I peeked outside, and that's where the garden was.
Wow.
It was really trippy for me to like just dream that.
Yeah, I mean, that's trippy. And maybe you did die. They just never told you because they want to scare you.
Maybe. I don't know. That has to be like the craziest thing I've ever experienced being on drugs.
Yeah. I mean, I luckily, like, I can't say that something that has happened to me. I've had like nightmares where like I can't wake up from. I should probably mix what you got.
I'll give you the recipe, don't worry. Oh man.
Yeah, I bet you like your listeners think that I do drugs and stuff. Like I don't. It's just like the time I've got experience, like some weird ass experience. Then homemade brownies, like homemade stuff that it's not a shop or anything. This is just like a friend was starting a business and he was giving me like a sample of it, and I was like, all right, I'll try it. Like I didn't smoke at the time, but I was like, well, I wanted to try it, so let me try it. And then I had those two experiences from it, but I don't know how much he put. It must have been a lot for me to like have those experiences.
Yeah. That must have been a good one. I mean, shoot, I feel like that was the only experience I ever had with like heavy duty drugs before, other than a brownie. Like, you know, having a stressful week, I can just take a brownie, go to sleep, and that's it.
I don't like edibles because they make me feel like so like dumb. Like I went to see the Tarantino movie. And I felt like I had my mouth open, like with babas like coming out of my mouth. Like I was so like stuck on the movie. I felt like I was like leaning in, like hunched the whole time watching it. And I went with my neighbor, and he's like, "Nah, man, I didn't even know you were high." I was like, "Are you serious?" I could see colors, like words were popping up, and it wasn't even subtitled. And I was like, "Oh man." Yeah, I try not to mess with edibles that much because they don't make me feel good. I rather, if anything, I would smoke, but even in that, I don't do it that often. Only like you mentioned, like if I'm stressed. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, even what I experienced, like there's nothing I explain it other than maybe the drugs did it. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's as supernatural as I get right there. My dad's house. Yeah. So when my dad moved out of Wilmington, he moved into like the Pomona area. He was renting a house, and I swear that house may have been haunted, or somebody must have recently died, because the light from the front door all the way to his bedroom would turn on. And we thought for a minute it was motion sensors. So we never questioned it until like we asked, like, hey, so for the motion sensors, like, when do we change it? Or like, where's the remote for that? And we asked the owner of the house that we were renting. He's like, those aren't motion sensors. There's literally a flick, like a switch at the end of every hall. And we're like, are you serious? Like, these have been on and off every time we walk in and out of the house. And it just turned out that there was like no wiring, nothing. And I think at that point my dad was like, nah, fuck this, I'm ready to move. He was like packing things, and I had just finished college at that point. And he was like ready to go. He was packing everything. I was like, don't be ridiculous, this is fine. It's like a great neighborhood, it's close to your job. He's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna get an apartment, this is ridiculous. And every time, like, you flip the switch on, nothing. But when you walk up and down, like, it turns on. So we don't know, maybe he had someone turn them on, or it could have been like false lighting. But yeah, that was the closest to a haunted house experience I've had.
Wow.
And you knowing my dad,
like that
it's haunted,
like
really? Like, he was ready to pack up and go. He was like, fuck this, I don't fuck like that.
Yeah. No, yeah. I would too.
So tell me a little bit more about your podcast. What's it about? Why is it created? And what can people look forward to it?
So the Lemeknow podcast, it started because I needed to promote myself. I was in stand-up, and I needed a way for people to get to know me. Like, I'm just a regular person from Wilmington, and I needed help. And I noticed that a lot of people from Wilmington were creating stuff, or they were opening up businesses, or they were artists or painters, whatever it was. And I noticed, like, Wilmington, like, isn't known for the best reputation, even though it's the heart of the harbor, every from what you wear to what you eat passes through Wilmington. The port's right here. Like, we're just known for the crime, the refineries, stuff like that. And it was sad that, I'm from here, I kind of wanted to help Wilmington, like, gain a little bit of a better reputation. So I thought, look, I need to promote myself, and there's a bunch of like talented people that are burying themselves, and it's not fair that just because they're from this city that they're gonna have a bad reputation. They're not gonna be given a chance. This is the best way to help me, to help myself, but also help others. And I'm all about helping others. That's one of my favorite things to do, to like connect people and to help people, just period. So it started out of me desperation because I wanted to promote myself. But now it's just like, I haven't done stand-up since the pandemic started. And I kept doing the podcast because, like, it's built a lot of friendships and relationships that I'm thankful for. Like, a lot of people have shown me support, and I'm so grateful for that. Like I mentioned, like, I'm a nobody, just a random person, and looking at the people that listen to me, like from New York, Texas, like Washington, Wisconsin, like New Zealand, like places that I've never been to, and people are listening to me, like kid from Wilmington, like this Hispanic kid, and I'm super grateful for these people. I have so much. I don't make money from my show, but it gives me some confidence that I'm doing something right. I think like that's something that I've always been in search of, and I think a lot of people are in search of that as well. Like, we all want to know what our purpose is in this earth. And for me right now, like, I don't know what that is, but I enjoy doing my podcast. And as long as I enjoy it, and that's a rule that I've always set for myself. Like, once it starts becoming a job or a hassle, then I tell myself, then that's the time to stop. And yes, it has felt like that sometimes, but that's because of my depression. I get depressed sometimes, and I second guess myself, and I constantly talk about this, that for some reason, like, I feel like nobody's listening to me, even though you look at my podcast and there's 2-3 people that listen to me, and and that's the thing that keeps me going. And as long as I have a listener and that enjoys what I'm doing, then I'm gonna keep doing this. Recently, I haven't recorded an episode with the guest in over a month. I've been doing solo bolos. So solo bolos are basically I'm sitting by myself and I read a quote, tell people what that quote means to me. And like, to me, it's a trippy thing that you and I could look at the same exact words, like same exact picture, but we describe it so different. That's what the reason why I started doing that, because like I might be reading this and to me it means this, but to you it means a complete different thing. And like, as I'm talking about it, it's kind of like a discussion. I mean, I can't hear your side of it, but you could argue with me in your head. You could like agree with me. And also, I do affirmations. Sometimes I don't feel like doing them. Who really wants to listen to me read out loud? I've had a couple people message me telling me like, like we look forward to you doing the solo bolos. Like we follow your affirmations and we do them out loud with you. And I do them with my kids when I take them to school. And that's crazy, because for so long I was talking smack about myself. I was like, nah, nobody wants to listen to me. Like, I have to have guests. If I don't have any guests, then people aren't gonna listen to me. Like, they come for the guests. Until I realized, look, I don't have any guests, but I want to keep continuing doing the show. So I told the listeners, look, if I don't have any guests, I'm still gonna come out. And it got me thinking, like, what am I gonna do? Like, I ask for questions on Instagram, but sometimes people don't send them. So I have to think about, I want to keep my podcast going. I started thinking, like, what could I do? And affirmations are something like, just say them out loud. And even if you don't believe in them, I noticed that when I started doing them, it made me feel good. That's right after I started out with the affirmations, and then as the episode continued on, like, even if I was dreading doing it, like, man, I don't want to do it today. Like, for example, the episode I just released today, it took me 3 days to record. Not because it was hard, it's just because I didn't want to do it. Like, I don't know why, I just didn't want to do it. Like, I kept coming up with excuses, or I have to do this. I didn't want to do my show. Like, I didn't want to do it, but I made a promise. I made a promise to listeners and to myself. On New Year's, we all make these resolutions, and for the most part, like, we don't really keep them. But I told my listeners that I'm only going to miss 4 episodes a month, the whole year. Because last year I missed 3 months. I missed 3 months worth of episodes.
Yeah.
And I told the listeners, what, look, I'm not going to do that. I need to be consistent. That's the only way that the podcast is going to grow. And that's the only way that you guys are going to stay. So, you know what? I'm going to keep doing these. I'm going to do affirmations. I'm going to read quotes, and send me questions and I'll answer them. And so far, like, people are listening to me. I believe I made a good choice. And as far as where the podcast goes, the podcast is going to go where it wants to go. Like, I really have no control of it. Like, I bring people on, and it just happens to be the right people. Like, it's just people that I'm interested in what they're doing. Sometimes I envy them, like, I wish I could do what they're doing. And I bring them on just so I could talk to them and get their perspective in life, and in hopes that whatever they're doing rubs off on me and I could maybe do it, at least have the guts to attempt it. Because that's something that, like, we're all scared of failure, but not trying is also something that I'm afraid of. Being at the end of my day, like, when I'm laying down and ready to pass away, like, having those regrets. And I don't want to have regrets. I want to be able to say, look, I tried and I failed, but at the end of the day, I tried. I don't want to die thinking that I could have done it and I would have been good, or being old and not being able to do it anymore, but having the ability to do it. And then knowing that I could do it, and it's just going to make me feel even worse. Like, I could have done it if I would have gave myself a shot. And, like, I'm sure you having leukemia, like, I know you probably contemplated those thoughts yourself. Like, there's so many things I could have done, I should have done. And, it took you to realize that, oh man, like, life is short. And sometimes you just need to take a chance on yourself.
For me, it was more of like, there were so many things that I was still waiting to do. And I think the more I had time to really think about why am I waiting to do them, I was able to manifest like, wait, I'm still here. I have a computer, I have Wi-Fi, I can do them, you know, contemplating, well, what do I want to do now? And I was like, you know, what was more fun for me was the podcast and my day job and the side hustle, because it kept me busy, but also kept me doing creative things. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to ask for more hours at my day job. I'm going to, you know, release a better line of clothing, and I'm going to see if, you know, maybe my friends want to do the podcast again. So I was able to reach out to a few of them. Only one of them came back saying, hey, I'm not doing anything. Let's make this happen. So it was us reformulating what we wanted it to be, more so a horror podcast, but also a community outreach, to where we had people like you, we have people like my sister who also works in the community in Wilmington, and also, you know, friends that are doing a lot. They're giving back to the community now, because like you said before, I guess it was what it was in the 90s, that bad rap that it gave itself. And it continues to be that bad rap too, you know, just a bunch of thugs roaming loose on the streets, when now it's like, hey, there's students becoming teachers, there's thugs becoming businessmen, there's parents becoming, you know, mayors and all these elected officials now. And it's like, it's our time to give back, and we're shaping and molding the entire city, and it's coming to affecting Southern California. And we see that change roaming to LA, El Monte, Inglewood, you know, South Central. You know, we're touching all these other people. And with your podcast, you know, you do more than that with your solo bolos. Like, they've really helped me with your affirmations. I started doing that. So, I mean, big shout out to you. I started keeping a little notebook, like, hey, maybe I want to do this, or maybe it'll help me be better by doing this.
I'm glad it helped. But that's the thing that's crazy, that like I didn't want to do them. Like I was like, man, nobody wants to listen to me. It came out of desperation that I started doing the solo bolos, because I thought, you know what, like, I need to do this. Like, and then I noticed people didn't really know me. Like, I was bringing out people, but they didn't really know me. So I was like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna let people get to know me. And that's something that I was so scared of. Like, I want to be known as the comedy guy, the clown. But then once it came down to like tearing those walls down and letting people see me for who I was, that was the scary. Yeah, but I mean, I'm happy that I influenced your podcast a little bit.
Basically brought it back from the dead, but changed it up a little bit, you know. Like, now we have a community calendar on the website where, you know, you have a plug, we're gonna put it out there, and a bunch of other things. Like, my friend Tony is starting this new segment called Story Time. He's trying to make it into a very immersive Tales from the Crypt type thing, where we're gonna go ahead and showcase it as a vlog on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram. So, I mean, we still have a lot of things of doing. We have a bunch of things to cross off our list, but we're hoping it's going to take effect to everybody in SoCal, if not maybe across the US.
I want to see that. Yeah, because to tell you the truth, I'm not a thinker. Like, I'm more of a doer, and I just do it and things happen to land in place.
But I mean, you don't have to overthink and overplan things. I mean, like this was very impromptu, but I knew that I wanted you on here. I wanted to showcase you and everything about you, and talk about all your plugs and all your adventures and progress, but also just to have you on, because I was like, he was going to be the first person I wanted on. It just helps identify that it is a horror podcast, but also I want to make it about the community and help those find their voice, you know, like you and your solo bolos. That helped me a lot too, like being offline and trying to find things to do in between surgery and like procedures. I was like, you know, I feel like he has a path and he's getting there. I'm like, what do I want to do now? It helped me restructure the way I was thinking about work and like extracurriculars. No, he has the right idea. Like, maybe we got to change this up. So, you know, it helped influence it in a bit. So thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Like I said, like, I didn't put any like real thought into it. I was like, I need to do something. I knew I needed to do something, and I didn't know what. So I'm like, I'm just going to try things, and like whatever feels good, then I'm going to keep doing that. Like, I wanted to start a whole different podcast just with affirmations and like read out a quote, and that'd be the whole podcast. I wanted to do it with my girl, and she didn't want to do it, and I kept thinking like that was in my mind, like I need to do I need to do something new. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get a quote and I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna talk about what it means. And people seem to enjoy those episodes, and I'm glad that it helped you.
That and your other podcast, the Feelings Podcast, that one really helped too. You and Ebony just go into depth about talking about your feelings. I was like, hey, maybe, I should keep a little diary and start writing things down. And you know what? That really did help. Whether you're isolated or diagnosed with a serious illness, it really does take a toll on you mentally. Keep doing it. Well, every project you're doing, like, I'm very proud of you. And just see where you've come. I've known you since you were 14.
Yeah. Like, I think that's when I met your stepmom. Yeah. It's crazy, like, to see you guys grow through. Your sisters.
I mean, realistically, anybody that grew up in the barrio of Wilmington has known each other since they were in diapers. I mean, that town is small.
You take the dash, and the dash literally takes you like from every corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, just 25 cents, and it gets you from A to B and back.
Yeah.
Or walking. I remember walking. Damn.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's really close. It's not that big of a city. You could walk from one end to another.
There you go.
Yeah, damn, it's not that big. It's thinking about it right now. Like, it is pretty small.
It's pretty small, yeah. Oh man, I can't believe the dash is still going.
Well, I mean, people need transportation, and
I know, but I mean, you would think like they would have electric scooters or like rent an EV, and
yeah, but I mean, it helps. It, like, older people like that don't know how to drive, or they're too old, they can't really see that well. And it's teenagers that, like, they might live on one corner and they have to go to the east side. They live in the west, like in the waterfront park, but they got to go to Ghost Town. That's a long walk. The dash takes you all the way over there. And like, if you think about it, like, those scooters, you have to recharge them, so you're using energy, like, and with the dash, like, use gas, but it's a group of people, like, instead of using like small scooters, recharging them. And then at the same time, like, if you put a bunch of scooters everywhere, then you're gonna have like it's gonna be looking like garbage, like a pile of scooters.
I know Metro had a thing there where they left a bunch of like bikes, and you would rent a bike for a day with your day pass. That was a good idea, but everyone started stealing those bikes, and I was well,
even the scooters,
that defeated the purpose.
No, trust me, they found ways to, like, for it not to be. They started breaking into them. Yeah, people started finding ways. I mean, like,
they're more sophisticated then.
Yeah, like, now people are more into like, they're into technology, and then like a quick buck, like, they're selling those things like for scrap metal. Like, people are clever when it comes to like surviving. Like, people are gonna find a way.
Damn, that's crazy. It's been a minute since I've been in there. I think that's all I got. This turned out to be a very reminiscent episode about our hometown, Wilmington. So if anybody listening out there, you got a plug, you got like a side hustle, you're trying to sell tamales to pay the bills, hit us up. We'll have you on the episodes. We'll have you here with the Low Cafecito and start talking. There you go.
I mean, you want to talk about the Feelings Pod? We could talk about the Feelings Pod.
Yeah, the Feelings Pod. I mean, that thing is great. I mean, I started episode 1 and now I'm episode 20. When I was in the hospital and I got out, I was like, yeah, this is my thing. This is my morning thing. Just listen to it. And then I get into work. And then after that, just a little break. And keep going. That thing is good. I mean, I finished episode 10 like on Monday. Yeah.
You're halfway there. Like, let me talk about the Feelings Pod. So the Feelings Pod, I recorded with my friend Ebony. So the way that started was because she had her own podcast. I had the Lemeknow pod, and she wrote a book, Dear Big Brother, and I had her on the show to promote her book. And when I interviewed her, I really enjoyed like the way we were talking, the way the conversation was flowing. It was really easy. And that day I was like, man, there's something here. Like, there's something here. I just don't know what it is. And then she had me on her podcast to promote mine. And the conversation was still pretty easy. And it was a great interview. So they're like, maybe do you want to do a podcast together? And then I pitched her, like, both of the podcasts we were doing, it was a lot about our feelings, how we felt about things, about life, ourselves. And I thought, you know what, like, you seem to talk about your feelings a lot, and I am open to talk about it. That's not something I really talk about on my show, but like, you know, I do need an outlet. I need a person to shoot my ideas with. Like, the only conversations I have are with my girl, and my girl could only hear me complain so much. So I thought, you know what, like, I mean, you seem to understand what I'm saying. We're gonna be on 2 years this year on May 5th.
Oh, wow.
It's gonna be 2 years that we're doing the podcast, and it started in the pandemic. Everybody needed content. I was like, do something. Like, she stopped doing her conscious radio. Yeah, I mean, people seem to be enjoying it. Like, we have some random ass conversations, and you see Ebony going from single to like on a relationship, and now back to being single. And we found a way to like make that somewhat, from going from being super sad to somewhat entertaining. Like, now we added a segment called La Soltera segment, where like I talk Ebony through her dates, and we talk about like who she should date, and I'm over here rating her. Like, I'm over here like judging them, talking shit about them, like why she should date them, why she shouldn't, and what she should ask. So yeah, it's a fun thing. And then we always have like different topics. It's just not every conversation is serious. So, you know, we just have some random conversations sometimes.
You guys, if you guys need a new podcast, I mean, you got to check out Lemeknow. I give it 5 stars. And you got to go check out the Feelings podcast. I still give it 5 stars. Even though I'm only in episode 10, I mean, it's still really good. It's funny. I enjoy it. Well, thank you, Angel. I appreciate having you on the podcast. I hope to hear from you more. And I want to bring you on to see where this leads us. You know, and it's just a welcoming to everybody and anybody in the surrounding areas, in the heart of the harbor or Southern California, that, you know, you have a side hustle, you need a little oomph, you know, to get out there. Go ahead and reach out to us. We'll love to talk about it on the episode. Yeah,
well, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, and I wish you all the luck. You know, I mean, if you need anything, like, I'm here. Just let me know how I can help you. I mean, I enjoyed your interview, and hopefully, I mean, if you want to have me on again, I'm willing to come on.
Awesome.
Just let me know. You can find me at Lemeknow Podcast on Facebook, and please leave a 5-star review. The same thing for the Feelings Pod. You can find me at the Feelings Pod. And, you know, we appreciate your everything that you do for us. We appreciate it. We know that you'll be doing other things, and we appreciate that you're listening to us. And make sure to leave a 5-star review for Moonlight Howl, right? Is that the name of this podcast?
Moonlight Howl. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Apple Podcasts, and we're also on Anchor. So I'll drop the links below, but thank you so much for listening, guys. I hope you have a great night.
Bye.